In today's video, I'm going to discuss the differences in the release between the driver and an iron. Make sure you check this video out. Welcome back to the TruGolf Academy. You've joined me, Jon Watts, today at Branston Golf and Country Club. Today's video, as I mentioned there in the intro, is going to be about the difference in the release from the driver to the iron. I'm going to be talking about your hand path, the angle of attack, how the club is approaching the golf ball, and the differences you'd expect to see if you're starting to film your golf swing. If this video does help, make sure you hit the thumbs up, share it with as many golfers as you can, and if you're new to my channel and you haven't already, please consider subscribing. If you hit the little bell icon as well, it just notifies you every time a new video goes live. So I've got here a mid iron and I've got my driver. Obviously irons covers quite a wide range because we could add anything through, 3 iron through to wedge. You may even have a couple of even longer ones than that. But mid iron is going to be played middle or just forwards and middle of my stance. And that means I've got less time than I've got with the driver that I'm going to play up near my lead foot to effectively release the golf club. So let me set up to both here. The driver with the ball more forwards, the mid iron with the ball more in the center. I've got more time to help me square the club face perhaps with that driver because the ball's a little bit more forwards in my stance. With the iron, I need to try and do it a little bit sooner. And for me, I may see a slightly different position in that last parallel position just pre-impact here. So with an iron, I'd very much want to see the leading edge of the golf club matching my spine angle. I quite like seeing the same with the driver as well, and there's a lot of great golfers with a slightly stronger club face position, and then they'll hold that off. For a lot of golfers, they need some speed with rotation here of forearms and the uncocking and hinging of my wrist to generate some speed. So I don't mind with a driver if it's slightly more toe up. I definitely don't want to start to see the loft pointing up towards the sky, but I would accept with the driver if we had the toe straight up, the leading edge there almost straight up, as I said, into the air, whereas with an iron I definitely want to start to see that club face pointing a little bit more down because we've got less time through impact, so we need to effectively square that club face a little bit sooner with it matching spine angle. And then I don't need to work as hard into impact with the driver because that ball's that little bit further forwards in my stance. I could get away with the toe more up in the air because I've got more time to rotate. I still don't have to flash my hands at it, but there is a little bit more forearm rotation linked with my body rotation to help square that club face because that ball's a little bit more forwards. As I said, there's plenty of good golfers with that club face in a slightly stronger position here. And then what they'll do with the driver is they'll still have their hands leading the golf club a little bit into impact. If you're strong enough to do that, great way to play the game, but we do need some strength there. The other things, this sounds a little bit technical. I'm going to talk about something called D-plane. And what it is, in the simplest term, if we were going to hit the ball dead straight, and very few golfers do, straight down target line, no real curve, we got to hit the ball out the center of the golf club. The club face has to be square to our intended start line or the target line by the time the ball releases the club face. So it would actually have to be slightly open on contact. As the ball releases, the club face would then be square. I mean, that's very hard to do consistently. But the other things, it affects our angle of attack. So for every degree we're hitting down on the golf ball, we'd need to be swinging a degree to the left for me as a right-handed golfer. So with a mid iron here, I'm hitting down on this by about 4 degrees. So I can get away with that path going a little bit more inwards through impact to kind of neutralize my ball flight. So with an iron, I'd expect my handle to disappear a little bit more inwards behind my lead hip. Whereas with the driver, because we're ideally hitting up on the ball, so I tend to hit up on the driver by 3-ish degrees, I would quite like to see the path going a little bit more in to out. So I'd like the path to be going more to the right. So for every degree I hit up on the ball, ideally I'd be swinging a degree to the right of the target for me as a right-handed golfer to compensate for that, to hit that ball pretty neutral. So I need the path to be a little bit more this way with the driver because I'm hitting up on it, whereas a little bit more that way with the iron because I'm hitting slightly down on it. And that changes the view of our release. So with a driver, you'll see the handle will be a little bit more in front of my hip. So if you like, somewhere between me and the golf ball, definitely closer to me. Whereas with an iron in my hand, because the ball's further back, because I've squared the face a little bit sooner, and because we're hitting down on it, that handle can start to disappear more behind my lead hip, my left hip. Now, I definitely don't want to ever see this sort of release pattern where the butt end of the club is pointing way out over here, the club face is way behind me, but you will start to see that the arms and club are a little bit more in front of me. They haven't disappeared as far inwards to the left for a couple of reasons. That ball's further away from me. The path could ideally be swinging a little bit more in to out with the driver, and therefore the release will perhaps be here rather than here with the driver. And that's a big thing for you to view on video. That is a big thing for you to view on video. Now, there's nothing wrong, and there are great golfers who drive the ball and they still get their handle disappearing more inwards. Perhaps they're hitting a little bit more down, perhaps they're actually setting up and trying to hit more of a fade type of shot, so they're not getting the path as much in to out. I definitely want the release with both golf clubs to be dominated with the big muscles, the body. The hands are active, of course they are, but they're along for the ride. So the wrists have to down cock. There has to be some hinging, but that is linked with the rotation. I don't want to see the body stall with either golf club and the hands take over. So as I said, D-plane sounds quite technical. The easiest way to think about it, if you were trying to produce a dead straight shot, not really going to happen very often. For every degree we hit down, we've got to swing a degree inwards. For every degree we hit up, we've got to be swinging a degree outwards. So we'd call that in to out. That one feeling like it's disappearing a little bit more to the left. Doesn't mean actually I'm swinging out to in, because the club could be in to square to in, quite a neutral pattern here. But as I said, on video, you'd start to see the irons disappearing more inwards, whereas the driver, I think you'll see the club a little bit more pointing back towards the camera. Again, I definitely don't want to see this sort of release pattern where the club has worked way inside my hands. And as I said, the reason for these changes, with the driver, we're hitting off of a T-peg, we've got a very low lofted golf club, the ball is further away from us effectively, and we're hitting up on the ball, whereas an iron we're hitting more down. Let me just demonstrate both swings. I'll show the actual swing and the slow-mo, and I'll try and show you the difference perhaps in the picture of that release pattern, what it looks like just post-impact. So around here somewhere. So iron, first of all, as I said, this for me is an 8 iron actually. So ball's quite central. I'd love to get that feeling that my handle is working a little bit more inwards, a little bit more to the left. Okay. So pretty square divot, ball turf contact, did cut a little bit, very, very windy into me, so anything I do is going to be exaggerated. This one with the driver, ball's off the tee, it's obviously further away from me because the longer golf club. That ball's gone up towards my lead heel, so I've got more time to square the club face. You may see pre-impact, it's not as turned down. And then post-impact here, you may see the club more in this position, whereas my hands with the iron had disappeared a little bit more inwards, a little bit more to the left. It's not coming back, just started down that left side and stayed there, but pretty happy with the strike location. Going to use those two swings. You'll have seen here as well the slow-mo of those golf swings, and I'll put up here the pictures of those two release patterns as well. The difference where I am just post-impact with the iron to the driver. If this video has helped, make sure you hit the thumbs up, as I said at the start. Share it with as many golfers as you can. It's great to observe your swing on video, and you can perhaps start to learn a little bit about your release pattern difference with the iron to the driver. If this video has helped, make sure you subscribe to my channel. It is for free.